talk to Adelaide.
If you're hungry, there's meat turning on the spit outside. If you're bearing illness, find a place to lay your head down and I'll fetch you a poultice. Whatever your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here. Any questions, dear?
I do have questions for you. You must be Adelaide.
I have been called that, among other things. Green Thumb, grandmother, the strange old lady who keeps flowers. But yes, Adelaide will do just fine.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just... You got such pretty trees in here.
Why, thank you. You're Robert's girl, aren't you? I remember when you were but a sprout. Thomas speaks of you often. Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobaccorn tea. I brew it in an old spittoon, but it's been cleaned.
Reed sent me to make peace with you. Is this your greenhouse? Looks like you made for a home for yourself out here. Is this your greenhouse?
Oh dear, the garden belongs to us all. Life is the gift of the universe, and the universe yields its bounty equally, absent of prejudice.
Surprised you managed to grow anything out here. Funny, never knew you could grow tripe in a garden.
The soil around the Vale went sour years ago, but I found a way to sweeten it back up. The secret recipe is a little bit of elbow grease, a dash of love, and a heaping pile of special fertilizer.
Reed sent me to make peace with you. Looks like you've made a home for yourself out here. I think I just clicked that one, didn't I?
A home for anyone who's ever turned their backs on Edgewater. A home for those of us with nowhere left to go and nothing to lose. So, like the spores of the puffball, cast on the wind and alighting on fresh soil, we put down new roots.
Aw. You picked a terrible space to put down roots. Why'd you leave your old home?
It is an unpleasant story, dear. But the short of it is that sometimes one wakes up and realizes the place that was once her home for much of her life has changed. The home in which we spent our lives has left us behind, and so we must move on. And that is as much as I will say on the subject.
Hey. Reed sent me to make peace with you.
Reed Thompson, you here on behalf of that cold-eyed reptile? Let's hear it. What's Reed's idea of peace, then?
You're living off the power belongs to town. Come back to the cannery. That's about it. Reed asked you to considering come back to town. He's willing to make amends. Something about coming back to town and losing power. I wasn't really listening.
Make amends? Spare me. Only thing Reed knows how to make is a mess. Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned. I and my own are living just fine out here by ourselves.
Over him, he mentioned a geothermal plant. This is serious. I'm about to cut off your power.
He would do such a thing. The question is, why would you agree to his plans?
I didn't agree to nothing. Your camp has a power regulator. I need to repair my ship.
Cannery's got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip them out of the cannery's guts and leave us be. If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and toward our end of the grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems the sort of thing a hero would do.
What have you against the town? A hero to you, maybe.
You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollowed out workers laboring their lives away at the cannery, living off whatever scraps Spacer's choice throws them. You know that's true, don't you, Ms. Holcomb? Your father died of overwork. His heart gave out.
He was tired all the time, sure, but he was old, ma'am, and he raised me all by his lonesome.
Look what they did to this child. Lost her family to the company, and still she defends them.
Let's say I help you. What happens to Edgewater? What do you have against people trying to make a living? I don't much like you throwing in her face to get me on your side.
Life in Edgewater grinds to a halt. The cannery shuts down, workers desert in droves, and our own little camp grows and thrives. You bring power to Reed's town and you'll be killing us. Reed knows it. He's counting on it. You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps.
Well, I don't
Hello, that
understand.
worker. It's not much of a living. Every single person in that town has sold themselves to Spacer's Choice. The company owns them. Body, blood, and bones. You've been there. You've seen it. All anyone ever does is toil over a cannery. They give their lives for some heartless corporation, and then they're tossed into a Spacer's Choice brand cemetery.
Guess you have a point.
What do you say? Divert power over to us. Shut down that abominable cannery for good. I trust you will listen to your conscience.
Oh, whoops, can't leave out that way. Duh. That just erased all of your messages. That's funny. I didn't know that was a thing.
What happened? Sprat fell into a transformer again?
Everybody keeps staring at me. It's not my fault the power's dead. What's on your mind? Couple months. This camp's my... I owe them my...
I don't know what you did to talk some sense into Zoe.
I mean, that's cool that that's a thing, though. So if someone wants, like, all their messages deleted.
That's the thing about growing old. Your eyes start to fail. Elsewise, I would have seen you for the snake that you are, chopped you into pieces and roasted you on a spit. This is all you're doing. Cutting off my power, killing off my garden. Without refrigeration, my food will spoil, and my flock will starve. I want to ask you this in private, away from the eyes of my flock, so they do not see me lose my temper. Tell me, why did you do it? You want my flock wasting their lives in that cannery? Fine. Go and talk to them. Go talk to Grace and Thomas. Look them in the eye and tell them their life here is over, and the only thing left to do is go back to Edgewater. This is now your responsibility. And you tell Reed Thompson that I will never return to Edgewater. I would rather die among my flowers than live under his management.
Ooh, I'm willing to deal with Reed for you. You're being unreasonable. Come back to Edgewater. What happened to you, Adelaide? This anger had to come from somewhere.
My son worked in that cannery. When the plague started coming, he was one of the first to fall sick. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. Said my boy didn't deserve treatment. Said the medicine would have been wasted on him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as much of the story as you need to hear. You offering to cross Reed off, huh? This some sort of twisted reparation for what you've done? Or are you just looking for a chance to sow some chaos?
I like sowing some
Leave if you
chaos.
must, or talk him into leaving if you can. He and I are not sharing the same four walls together.
He isn't going to just leave his post. I'll need some help convincing him.
Tell Reed that I can make his people healthy again. I can end their plague. Start a new garden right in the cannery. 3 square meals for every man and woman in Edgewater. Tell him how I've made the Vale bloom again. The soil has whispered its secrets to me, and I alone know how to breathe life back into the earth. The secret is human corpses. I've been grinding them up in my fertilizer for years. Marauder, worker, don't matter much to me. The human body is rich with nutrients.
Rigged. You don't think that'll convince Reed to step down? That's disgusting. I mean, it makes sense. What happens when you run out of corpses?
Edgewater Cemetery's got corpses aplenty. Enough for a generation's worth of crops.
Okay. Well, this is what I like to call the better ending.
Sorry. I'm just trying.
Once we have that power, it's time to go back to Edgewater.
I've been thinking about going back. I'm not much use to anybody here. I get sick thinking about working at the cannery. I can't do that again.
You wanted to be an engineer? That's just fear talking. They need all the workers they can get.
You know something? I think you're right. The town could use another engineer, and I'm on my way to becoming one. I could do a lot of good in Edgewater. Maybe even keep a garage of my own with a little workbench and my very own toolbox. It's just... Adelaide's never gonna forgive me. Not in 100 years. I go crawling back to my old life in Edgewater, and I'm as good as dead to her.
Why is that? Stay put. I'm going to try to talk Reed and stepping
You know where to
down.
find me.
Marauders can't see us in the dark. Wild canids, on the other hand.
There's nothing left for you here. It's time to go back to Edgewater.
Matter's been weighing on me. Zoe came back, but I couldn't keep her from slipping out in the first place. Who's to say I could keep marauders from slipping in? I don't see us lasting more than a couple of weeks out here. I'm loath to admit it. We're gonna have to make our peace with Thompson and hope he takes us back. Listen, we go back to Reed, hat in hand, begging for our old jobs back. Well, Adelaide's not gonna forgive us. She never talked to us again.
Leave Adelaide behind then. Thomas told me the same thing. Don't do anything hasty. I'm going to go talk to Reed. Stepping down.
Sure, suit yourself. I'll be here.
Sounds good to me. Oh, hello, Barty. All right, let's go convince Reed to step the fuck down. Because ain't nobody want him here anyways. He's a fucking nerd, a corporate nerd. Do 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 boop 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 boop. Oh, it's elevator music.
This is a fine day, friend. Power flows through our town like a cool stream of water. I trust Adelaide's people have seen their way to reason. So, when can I expect them back at their posts?
Because he may or may not have cheated. Spoke to Adelaide, she won't come back as long as you're here. I leave a message, but I haven't convinced Adelaide to come back. I want to talk to you about something. Yeah, let's go.
Then we are at an impasse. Stewardship over this town has been entrusted to me by Spacer's choice. I am not perfect. I have made my share of mistakes. But I have done my best for this town.
Change of leadership might be what this town needs. Your town's a mess, Reed. This town's terrified of the plague. Abernathy asked me to steal medicine for him. You let Adelaide's son die.
I am a Spacer's choice man. My father was a Spacer's choice man. Edgewater may not look like much to some buttoned-up freelancer, but it is my home.
Adelaide's people aren't getting sick with plague. Adelaide made it clear she won't return unless you leave. Well, I tried. Let me talk about those. Adelaide's people aren't getting sick with the plague.
I don't believe you. Plague's a reality of life. Best treatment is a good work ethic.
This town doesn't eat anything but salt tuna. Of course you're gonna get sick. And
The
actual
very
vegetables?
notion is just grotesque. A raw vegetable? Why don't you just ask me to go chew the bark off of a tree? We are a Spacer's Choice Saltuna cannery. We eat saltuna here, and only saltuna.
We need Adelaide's garden. Yeah.
I don't understand. You say Adelaide's growing her own food, but that should not be possible. The soil's gone sour. Company said as much. Our own botanist couldn't grow decent crops for us, so the company got rid of him and shut down the greenhouse.
Ideas. Later, man. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it.
You'll excuse me for being skeptical. How exactly is Adelaide growing crops in barren soil? If Adelaide's found a way to feed her people and cure the plague, then she deserves this office more than I do. I won't stand in her way. My life here is ended. Give me a little time to settle my affairs. I'm sure Adelaide will be glad to see the back of me.
You don't have to do this, you know. This can't be easy for you. What are your plans?
A couple months ago, I might have put in for a transfer. It's a big colony. Spacer's Choice has other towns. Now, I couldn't show my face in any of them.
Why not?
No such thing as an honorable resignation. Suppose I could find a place outside the walls, or put in for early retirement.
You will not stay outside the walls, you know. You don't do this, you know. This can't be easy for you.
I have always tried to do right by my town. It has never been easy.
You don't have to do this, you know.
I do. Adelaide's found a cure for the plague, and she knows how to tend to crop. She's what this town needs.
All right. Later, Reed. Corporate shill. I want to feel sorry for you, but you're a corporate shill. All right, back to Adelaide we go. Oh, I can't. I gotta leave first. Duh. So this is the worst. All right, we will fast travel. Hey, that's the ending that I wanted. I'm glad I was able to get it.
Look at that. The snake's come back. I never thought I'd see the day that Reed Thompson abandoned his post. Suppose we all have a breaking point. Suppose it's time our flock made our way back to Edgewater. We must tend to what remains of the town and carry on with our lives as best we may. You're vexing to me, you know? Injuring us with one hand, helping us with the other. Here, I'm giving you something to leave us be. It's a ransom, you understand, not a reward.
Edgewater's better off with you running the place. You made a mess of things. Guess I'm just trying to set. I made a mess of things. Guess I'm trying to set it right. And I mean, technically, I didn't. So
You're telling me you did all this just to put me in charge of Edgewater? Stranger, you are some kind of twisted. I might turn that old cannery into a garden. Got ourselves a whole cemetery bursting with bodies. I need some time to gather my personals. Long walk back to Edgewater. Got a considerable burden to carry.
Take care. Oh, I need the battery. Duh. All right, we will fast travel to the Unreliable.
Is this your ship? Oh my stars, she is just so handsome. Does she have a name yet? What's her drive model? Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. I'm the only decent mechanic Edgewater's got, but every time I think of going back, I get this sinking feeling.
Can't understand not wanting to go back. You didn't seem happy in Edgewater. Ever been on a ship before?
I've worked on the occasional supply coach in need of repairs. Once I built a little model craft out of spare parts, but Mr. Thompson found out and I had to take it apart. I want to ask you something, and you can say no, but can I come with you? I could tend to your engine. I know my G-valves for my catalyzers, and I can keep your ship singing. And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think?
Heck yeah.
Yes! I mean, thanks. You won't regret this, mister. Captain. I can call you Captain now. Ha! I got a captain.
I got a captain.